Welcome everybody to the third season of the Ontario Time Attack e-racing series, Overtake the Apex, using Assetto Corsa on the PC. With the COVID-19 pandemic on hand and all of us staying indoors and away from other people to help plank the curve, what better way to stay racing than a virtual race series? I am Jordan Bazukli, and I am being joined by Joshua Cronin tonight. Say hi, Josh. Say hi to the people.
Hello, how are we?
We are doing well. Now, let's get into the schedule here and see what we got. So tonight we are running the SIR EG6 at Road Atlanta. Some more front-wheel drive action just like last week, which should be very interesting. And then next week, May 18th, we have the Super GT4 at Fuji Speedway. May 25th, GT3R 911s at Le Mans. At June 1st, we have the GT2 458 at the Lausitzring. June 8th, a classic combination, V8 supercars at Bathurst. And then June 15th, the finale, Dallara F317 Formula 3 cars at Paul Ricard, home of the French Grand Prix in the F1 calendar currently. This race series is supported by HIP Motorsports, hosted by DriverMod, and of course Ontario Time Attack. So let's get to those ads. Thank our sponsors. And once again, big thank you to Philip at DriverMod for helping us plan this thing, put it together, hosting the server for us. He has a website called DriverMod.ca where he writes all about getting faster at the track and all of his adventures with his team. Great articles, go read them and enjoy. Alrighty, so now we hop into the qualifying session without about 11 minutes to go in qualifying. Josh, how's everybody doing so far on track?
Well, it looks like they've been doing pretty good so far. The only issue I've been noticing is, of course, Civic being a front-wheel drive car, there's no rear aero kind of to keep the butt of the car planted. So going through, particularly the iconic S's here at Road Atlanta, it gets really squirrely and it's really interesting. The first laps are going to be really interesting, and the closing laps are going to be interesting too, given the tire wear.
Absolutely. I did a couple sighting laps today just before this thing got started, just to get a feel for how the Civic drives in comparison to the Fit that we had last week. Definitely very similar in terms of your general approach, being kind of quick front-wheel drive car. It's a little bit more unstable, strangely enough, even though it is kind of wider, lower, should be a little faster. There's a lot more power. Find the back end is actually a little less predictable than the Fit. You'll see that today with a lot of drivers kind of coming around certain corners and maybe a little bit of touch and go action as they get around track, but should be an interesting race nonetheless.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Road Atlanta is a track that's favored by a lot of drivers. It's certainly a historical track, one of the big ones in the United States. Not my personal cup of tea, as Jordan knows for sure.
Yeah.
But it's still a good track. I can't deny that. And it should be a lot of fun, especially for something like this. Road Atlanta is kind of more known as a bigger track, typically with stuff like IMSA and things going here, but it also has a pretty lively club scene, especially with the SCCA. And so I think something that races kind of at the pace of a club level car should be a lot of fun here. The drivers said they were enjoying it. It wasn't too easy, but it wasn't too difficult. It was a nice challenge, and it really should be a lot of fun. The main key, if I may, just to talk about the sort of the key points of this track, going through one and then two, and then three down through the S's near the beginning of the lap, it is really the key of the lap. You pretty
Absolutely.
much, if you mess up one of the S's, you tank your lap time. There's no chance of saving it. And And it's certainly it's a commitment corner. You can't kind of second guess yourself. You kind of just have to run the line, even if somebody goes off in front of you. Because especially in one of these front wheel drive Civics with a wheelbase so small, if you even think about touching the brakes, the car will just loop.
Yeah.
So you really have to commit, but that makes it fun.
Oh, for sure. It's very challenging. I mean, Road Atlanta. I mean, I'm not particularly comfortable around here, but yeah, no, it's especially that first corner, like those first couple corners, like you said, it's commitment, right? Like you honestly want to turn in earlier than you would think. Let's say if you're coming to this track for the first time, and really abuse that inside line and take corners tighter than you normally would, because there is a camber advantage on a lot of these corners by staying kind of tight to the inside, and because of the elevation change, if you do run wide, it'll hurt you dearly. And yeah, no, despite the additional speed that these Civics have, they're certainly still momentum cars, right? Especially given that they are front wheel drive and they struggle with a little bit of traction, especially kind of on corner exit. You can't really be ham-fisted with it. You need to be very, very, very precise, I guess, and deliberate in terms of your inputs and everything. So.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Civic, there's a reason the Civic's a loved car. It is a very good track car, and you can go really fast in it. But it's actually not as easy to drive as people think because it has such a short wheelbase and it's front-wheel drive. You really just, like, when you turn into a corner, you can't kind of get around it. You're driving through that corner. You can't make any sort of a mid-corner like braking adjustment or speed adjustment or a gear change. That's a real quick way to spin it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I know some of the drivers, I've been seeing a lot of drivers been doing practicing even days before the event because they still want those valuable championship points, valuable prizes that come with the championship. And the second round, even though it's not necessarily the end of the championship, the second round is going to be where you kind of make a good foundation and get those valuable points. And then, or if you put yourself in a rut with something you'll have to recover from for multiple races coming up.
Absolutely. Ooh, Lion King coming around into that corner, and there's a car stopped over off the side there. That was a little interesting. I'm sure this track, I guess the Civics, it's a little bit tighter than most sport, I think. So I'm sure there's gonna be a little bit more crowding here during qualifying.
Yeah, 100%. Road Atlanta is a short lap, but it's a quick lap, and really any sort of a mistake you make on a shorter track is gonna just tank your lap time. And it's especially Road Atlanta is an especially difficult track because of the elevation changes. It'll really upset the car going up a crest. There's bumps too because it's not a new circuit by any means. Some parts of it are new as Lion King goes off into the grass in turn 2, turn 3. It's like I'm telling you, those bumps will catch you out. It's going to be fun though. Like I said, not my personal cup of tea. Not going to dwell on it, but it's the second best. It's the second best road-related track in North America.
Fair enough.
It has road in the name.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Road America. I mean, we have to bow down to the king, but
on track. Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, it is America's national park of speed, but it's not Road Atlanta. It does host Petit Le Mans, probably the third most prestigious endurance race in North America. I mean, third most isn't something to write home about, but it's cool.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot of fun.
Standing in the shadow of Sebring and Daytona, it's it's big shoes to fill. So for it to be third best is it's not bad.
Can't all be the king.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Just under 5 minutes left in qualifying here. We're seeing some pretty good times. Val's currently on the pole with a 136.2.
Yeah, Ujwal just did a server best here, 136.6 on his side. I know he didn't have too much practice coming in, so he's been able to get his time down into 36s, which is really good for him after dominating the last race.
100%. Couple drivers, Jackson De Oliveira, Leo Mora, and Eric De La Riva still have yet to set qualifying time. As Eric goes off, they only got about 4.5 minutes, so they're only going to get a couple attempts to qualify. Otherwise, they are going to be starting last. Here's hoping. Real quick check. A lot of pretty big spread in the qualifying times, actually. Pole's a 136.2, and then the kind of the last flying lap after that's a 141.7. Drivers still figuring it out. Speaking of figuring it out, Anthony H goes sailing through the grass on front straight. That's the other thing too with Road Atlanta here is the grass. People talk about a lot. You will be very strapped for cash to try and find an area with paved runoff here.
Yeah, it's all grass, and it's
yeah.
It's very unforgiving. I mean, it kind of, I guess, takes back memories to Mosport, right? At T2 there before they paved it when it was grass coming down the hill there.
Oh, 100%.
Very,
Yeah.
very unforgiving. I mean, pretty much a easy way to meet the wall coming down T2
Yeah.
if you get it wrong.
Yeah. And the other thing too with oh, Anthony going for a skip
Anthony,
and a
yeah, a
jump.
little.
The
Those
only
bumps are a little sketchy. They'll toss the
oh
car up very easy.
oh don't touch them. They're not meant to be run over.
That is for sure.
But the one thing people don't talk about too here at Road Atlanta is it's actually surprising. It's the curbs are actually deceptively large, or at least bumpy. Here around here, they don't look it, but they're not really for being driven over. There are a couple that you can be driven over, particularly I think the outside of turn 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turn 7, and then also I believe there's some of the exit of the chicane just going over the hill.
Yep.
But that's really all that I would go for.
Yep, and the final chicane actually just rounding over the last corner. Those two, I guess both corners there's some bumps there, but they don't seem to be too bad. But if you do touch them, it's that risk of that corner cut, right? And then a lap time deletion, especially during qualifying, you do not want.
100% too, and turn 1 too. While we're on the spot, while we're talking about the hot spots of the track, turn 1's also incredibly risky because it's sort of a fast sweeper that changes radius, sort of, and also it's blind. So there you don't really have there's not a lot going for you in that corner, but it is a lot of fun. And when you nail it, you feel like $1 million.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. But the issue is going to be just the drivers nailing that corner, because especially in a front-wheel drive car, if you sort of apex a bit early or don't apex soon enough, as often happens because it is a late apex, you can't really do too much in a front-wheel drive car once it starts understeering, and it can go real sour real fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no like we were just saying before. There's no adjustment. There's no real correction. You just kind of have to. You gotta have to ride it out.
I guess we should also talk about the different sort of adjustments the drivers can make here. It is a fixed setup, so they kind of have to work with what they got, but they do have a little bit of customization. They can adjust a fuel and tire strategy a little bit. They can adjust the fuel setup in the car, and I believe they can also do brake bias. The kind of general philosophy is anything you can adjust in the cockpit, you can adjust in the setup, which is pretty reasonable. We have things that can actually adjust brake bias. It's usually just a knob.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Civic EG did not come with one from the factory, but hey, this is a race car, so.
Oh no! I mean, it also didn't come with a roll cage from the factory.
That is true. It also didn't come with those sick wheels.
That is true. I don't know what those are actually. Are those the 4-spokes that are on like every drift car?
Basically, I think they're
not in a bad way.
I cannot remember the actual brand name of those, but they are some sweet ass wheels. That is for sure. But yeah, no,
they are pretty.
It's going to be very interesting. We'll see how the tire and fuel strategies play out, especially as there is going to be a stop for fuel at minimum in this race, if not tires.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. We were talking with the drivers; they are going to need to stop. I think they're going to need fuel. The issue is if they're going to need tires. That's something that we're not sure on, and even they're not sure on. A lot of them said they were kind of just, call it as they see it when they get it, and kind of make the game time decision.
Yep.
And another terminology that relates to making decisions on the fly.
Absolutely. Well, the grid is set. Very interesting qualifying. Val dominating with a 136.227 on pole.
Yeah, honestly, it was a good lap. Do we want to do a bit of a grid rundown before we get racing? Let's do it. Alrighty. On the pole, we got Val DiPietro with a 136.227. Close behind him, we got Gaglione with a 136.281, just barely losing out on that. We got Colin B. We got Ujwal in 4th. Joseph Yang's, whoop, hang on, I can't count. Joseph Yang is in 5th. Doug Newman's in 6th. Nathan Hodgins is in 7th. Edgar Lee is in 8th. Jackson D'Oliveira running up 9th. And Thomas Langle going to be in 10th. Oh, man. Philip Jalabera, 11th. Michael Puchik is in 12th. Oh, I lost count.
Walter Brooks is in 13th. We'll keep going here. Redison Lowe is in 14th. We have Carlos Ferry in 15th here. Mike Wagner, 16th place. Lion King in 17th. Laszlo Toth, 18th place. Randy Zimmer in 19th. Leo Mora in 20th. Anthony Ho in 21st. Dmitry Mochkin in 22nd. Lawrence DeFranco in 23rd. And Eric De La Rava bringing up the rear in 24th.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. Given the guy who pretty much dominated last week's race, gonna be starting last. I noticed he didn't join until we had a couple minutes left in qualifying, so he probably just didn't get a lap in. It'll certainly be really interesting.
He'll be battling uphill, and as we can see from the back here, they're starting on the last corner, the last I guess basically the back half of the field.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's also going to kind of suck because it's a standing start. Road Atlanta doesn't normally do standing starts here, so they're going to have to standing start on an angle,
which is very interesting. Lights are up. Let's count them down and see what happens.
And we're green.
Off we go.
That was a really great start.
Oh, somebody got left behind there. I'm not sure who's dropping off there. I think it's Joseph Yang who got a horrible start.
Oh, you don't want to see that.
Absolutely not. Val already opening up a pretty good gap to the rest of the field through turn 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's looking like they got pretty clean through 1. Here's the tricky one, though. It's going to be turn 3. This one normally causes just a huge, absolute gaggle of wrecks. Here he comes, and we're going to see it. Now it looks like they're going to get clean through turn 3. That's impressive.
Absolutely.
Going down through the S's. This is also normally a pretty tricky one. Let's see if they'll all be well behaved. Looks like they are. I'm not seeing any incidents.
Eric Del Rava already up into 19th, gaining some good solid ground here.
5 places on the start. That's impressive.
As they round through.
Going through 6 now.
Here, down through 7, the hairpin here, and onto the back straight. Val getting away pretty cleanly, although Colin's kind of keeping him honest there. He's only 0.4 seconds behind so far.
A little bit of contact there. I don't know who that was. I think that was Carlos.
Yeah, it looks like it. Carlos kind of fell behind there. There's a big pack of cars on the back straight here in the rear. Yep.
I wonder how much the draft is going to factor into these, because these are a little bit peppier than the fit. So they might actually get a decent head of steam even without any sort of a draft.
Like Puchik all the way through, Renison as well. Let's look at the backpack of cars here running through the corner. Ooh.
Philip looking like he might go around Doug Newman for 13th. Round to the outside over the hill is going to be pretty brave.
Let's see if he can make it stick.
Sometimes you got to do it.
You got to tuck it. Ooh, ooh, it's tight.
I tried.
On his bumper. See if he can make a move into turn 1. Looks like he's going to have the inside line, and...
the inside through 1 is brave. It's not as brave as the outside, though. Doug Newman's making it stick.
And he's maintaining that gap, too, ahead of him. That's on the outside. It's not easy.
Leading it through 3, down through 4. Fun fact, the S's here at Road Atlanta, all turn 4. This is turn 4. This is turn 4. All the way down till that last corner. That's 5. Don't know why they did that, but they did.
I actually did not know that. That's very interesting. Whoa.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
Battle for second right now. Colin squeezing past Michael Gaglione there to get his place back, but Michael's not giving up without a fight, it looks like. And it looks like Val actually got a little bit out of shape there because he's lost his lead quite a bit. Only 4/10 separate the top 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty interesting racing here going on at the beginning. It's still pretty close. I wonder how long it's going to stay this close, though. The cars are going to get a lot of draft up the back straight. That's certainly going to help, considering that Road Atlanta is probably about 50% back straight.
Absolutely. It's honestly, even these Civics get up just past 220 on the back straight, so that's moving. That's really moving.
That's pretty fast for a Honda Civic, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Colin just on Val's bumper right now.
They are running. Oh, he's going to run the move to the inside. Make it work into 1, maybe.
Ooh, can he push the braking zone a little bit?
Oh, he does.
Makes it stick. We have a new leader, Colin. Although Val got a great run out of there.
No, Val backing it up a little bit. He's like, no, there's an hour 43 minutes left in this race. Don't want to push too hard. These guys are going to have to stop for fuel and possibly tires. Maybe not, though. They are running a semi-slick tire, so it's not going to burn up as much slick, but it's also not going to give them as much grip.
Yep. If I was a
But a
betting man,
double-edged sword.
if I was a betting man later in the race, we might see them go for fronts. Just because this car's a lot of power for those front wheels, and it's very easy to burn them up. And to get really fast laps down, you end up kind of powering through the understeer, if you will, because the thing has a pretty good front differential on it. You can actually still get some cornering grip and speed despite the massive understeer, as it were. So should be very
Yeah, just
interesting
gonna
as
head
the race
through it.
goes on.
Yeah, I got a battle here for 9th. Michael Puchik, Joseph Yang.
Let's take a look at that.
See how this goes. This will be interesting.
It's even Ujwal actually is very close to Michael Gaglione as well.
That's true. Yeah, they're kind of getting there. Edgar Lee's gonna go by Ujwal though.
Ooh.
Just on the inside, just making it work. Just easy pickings as long as Edgar can hold it. Should be able to. Yeah, just kind of gets on by. Ujwal's got
gonna try to get into T1 though.
He wants it back.
Oh, pushes a little deep. Ooh,
Whoa!
gets
Whoa!
a little out of sorts there. And it looks like
beige
Collins on the
Civic.
grass.
The beige. Oh, he is. The beige Civic not driving the best. Real quick check. Collins still running 3rd.
Absolutely. I think Michael was able to squeeze by when he had that little off-road incident there.
Yeah, might be able to just got by a little bit.
Yep, Edgar is kind of closing in on him as well. Ujwal's kind of making that gap back up as well after he had his little pucker moment through turn 1. So pack between top 7's pretty tight. Everyone's within about a second and a half at most between each other. Only person who's been able to actually open up a decent gap between the top 7 is Val right now, who's opened up a second and a half to Michael behind him.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's getting close. It'll really be interesting. I'm interested in seeing how this race progresses. It's just I don't even know if I can really call who I think is gonna be put on a good show. I mean, our last race winner is in 21st. I don't know. I know Colin and Val. There's some pretty good drivers.
Absolutely.
And they're duking it out right now. I think it would be them.
Yeah, and Val just did a 136.5, so a pretty quick lap, and been able to open up 2 seconds now to Michael behind him. So seems to be pretty comfortable getting into a groove, and maybe can open up this gap up a little bit more.
100%.
As Colin squeezes by on the almost on the grass there as well on Michael Gaglione.
Yeah, let's see it happen. Michael goes around.
See if we ride on board with Colin here and see. Very close. Oh, Colin might get the run at a turn 6 here. Oh, he's on his bumper. Has to get out of it there. But Michael runs wide.
Oh, Mike runs wide. Colin's going to get by through 2nd. Edgar Lee looking to capitalize. Not going to work. Whoa, a little bit of a nudge. A little bit of a nudge, but he keeps it working.
And Ujwal as well in the mix once again, trying to take advantage. Now,
yeah,
Ujwal's up in a 4th place. Might be going for 3rd here. That draft, it seems to be pretty effective on the back straight. I think it's a little bit of the draft, and also, I mean, your exit out of that slow corner there, turn 7, is so key.
Yeah, honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to go, excuse me, I think it's going to be close. The draft is really important here. Not as important as it was at tracks like Mosport, but it's still a little bit helpful in the event that you do mess up your S's. You can at least hope to get a little bit of time back.
Absolutely.
Okay, Gaglione going off.
Yeah, so quite a few lead changes in the top 5 there. You know, Val's kind of opened up a gap, and same with Collins. The top 2 have been able to get something going, but even Ujwal's chasing down Colin for 2nd place. So he's back up in the mix now as well.
100%. I mean, it'll certainly be interesting to see just how this develops. I don't know how well the front-wheel drive cars, especially with the rear tires, are going to do here on the long run.
Absolutely.
Because they just don't. Is Renison in the pits?
Renison did pit. I wonder if he's going for an
Did pit.
early fuel up or what's going
Could
on there. It seemed to
be.
be a quick stop. He rejoins now
Yeah.
in 21st, so not too bad for him. I wonder if he took fuel very early and is going to try to run to the end of this race. I guess we're going to have to monitor that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much left on the table. That's just so uncertain. It's not. I don't even know what to say. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell. It's gonna be very interesting how the strategies play out. The pit window seems to be quite wide, so whether or not the undercut or the overcut is better, I honestly think it's gonna come down to whether you need tires or not. You know, if you just go for fuel and run long, but the tire wear is really bad at the near the end of the race, it'll probably hurt you, right? Versus kind of running long on your fuel your first stint and then having a fresh set of tires at the end. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly. It's the other thing too that you have to factor in is the rear tires. The rear tires will kind of be held down by a full tank, so it might actually play to your advantage to overfill.
Absolutely.
Or start with a larger tank and basically just use it as a ballast.
Well, I mean, we saw it with the Fit, right? The Fit was very fast when it had a full tank in it, just because the fuel, the weight distribution was a lot better. So probably the same story with this car as well.
Yeah, 100%. It'll. I don't know how well it'll work, but
Eric went off here into turn 1. It looks like he had a little moment, so he's now down in 20th place. Have to work his way back up again.
Oh man, he was running real good too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was doing real well, actually kind of dominating in the other car last week. Maybe he's just not as confident at this track, or perhaps even just in that car. It could be a practice thing. It could just be some drivers are suited to different cars. Maybe he's just not too suited to the Civic.
Absolutely. But we'll have to watch him and see. And see if he can claw his way back up. I mean, we obviously know he has the pace, but I guess it's just a matter of comfort at this point. But he should be one to watch and see if he can make something of this race. I mean, an hour and 30 left, so anything can happen.
100%.
Let's look at Mike Wagner here, who's very close on Walter B, and see if he can make a move here out of the chicanes onto the front straight. Seems to have a really good exit. Coming down through the last corner. That's flat out in this car. See if you can dive in on the inside and get him through turn 1. Turn 1 actually seems to be the spot. A lot of passes have been made so far during this race. Ooh, side by side.
Yeah,
Walter's
you can
gonna have to run on
up
the outside, but yeah, Mike seems to get it done, and Mike Wagner's now up in 12th place.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can get a real good run into turn 1 and set up a really nasty pass, honestly. If you just kind of run on the inside, you take their apex, they really don't have an option but to run around the outside. They're on the inside for that turn 2, but when you go into turn 3, you have the inside, and it's pretty much game over for them.
Absolutely. And honestly, the one corner you do not want to run on the outside on is turn 1. That's for sure.
100%. Yeah, that's what I like about Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta is a very nice, fun, flowing track. Not my personal preference, as mentioned, but it's a nice, fun, flowing track, and it really allows for just cars that are handling cars like the Civic, because the Civic's not the fastest car on the planet. It allows for handling cars like the Civic to really shine, and it also allows drivers that are really good and skilled drivers to shine too.
Absolutely.
It's not really about the power. Regardless of how fast of a car you bring, if you can't run those S's, the car will probably end up on the wall.
Absolutely. It's very much a skill track. It's not particularly forgiving, so really, takes mastery, takes time, takes practice. Thomas Langiel battling with Michael now. Michael fell down to 6th place after running in 3rd for a little while there. Thomas Langiel seems to try to make a run into the S's here, but biding his time, runs a little wide there through turn 4, or at least the first part of turn 4. And seems to have kind of backed off a little bit. gaps have opened up a little bit now. I think earlier on, I think than most sport, I think the fits were running a lot closer together.
100%. The Civics, they are a bit faster than the Fit. The Fit really didn't. It had 126 horsepower, which is, you know, fine, I guess. But these really are kind of where this car shines, and sorry, this track is where this car shines because it has a bit more power, and it's kind of just a little bit nicer. Honestly, it's the Fit was great because it was a purpose-built race car, but this is more of a tuner car, and so it drives as such. It's a little bit more dicey, so to speak. It's a little bit more relying on driver rather than sort of set up neutral.
Absolutely. I
Like
mean,
a race
you're on
car would.
semi-slicks, but even still, like, you know, you have, you know, street-orientated suspension still, and, you know, a little bit narrower tires. It's a little bit heavier. I mean, can't believe I'm saying that about a Civic compared to a Fit, but I guess, you know, it's a little bit heavier. So it's
Yep.
definitely a little bit more dicey to drive for sure. You're not going to have that consistent, let's say, motorsports feel that you'd get out of a proper race car where you know, you can make a single input and it's going to be the same reaction from the vehicle lap after lap, right? You're going to have a little bit of variance, and you see that in the confidence of a lot of these drivers who seem to be, you know, struggling through certain corners, especially we've seen in turn one where, you know, on the brakes the car tends to, you know, the rear end tends to get a little bit nervous where, okay, it might break away, it might not, and, you know, you get a little bit of those inconsistencies, and it requires a little bit of patience.
100%. Yeah, it's. I'm just watching now as Laszlo and Dimitri battling for 17th. I think it is. They're the cars. Oh, Dimitri puts two wheels in the dirt. Not the best way to enter the corner, but it's one way. The cars really are sort of. The driver has to adapt to the Civic more than the Civic adapts to the driver because you don't really get a lot of adjustability. You get a little bit, but the Civic's just the thing weighs nothing, but the driver has to kind of keep that in mind. So when you're trying to chuck it through a corner, you can't. You'll get good cornering grip, but you won't. Not in the rear because there's nothing over the rear, especially as the fuel burns.
Absolutely.
So drivers just kind of have to keep that in mind. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if we see drivers pitting to put more fuel in the tank. Even though they don't necessarily need it, maybe just to keep the back end down.
Yeah, keep it stable. Make it more consistent, right? That does inspire confidence, right? More than, let's say, the you know, little bit of, you know, weight savings that you would get from running a lighter tank. That confidence makes such a huge difference, right? In terms of your being able to turn consistent laps, right? Especially over an hour, 45-minute race, an endurance race, the consistent laps are more important than you know, out and out pace or your one lap pace.
Exactly, 100%. It's one of those things where you kind of just you can't change the car to suit how you drive. You have to change how you drive to suit the car. It's one of those where you don't get to make you get to make the decisions, but you don't really get to change anything.
Absolutely. We got a
You kind of
very
just have
tight
to
battle here
live with
for 17th. Laszlo Toth and Lion King both very close behind Dimitri there, trying to vie for that position.
100%. Yeah, they're really going off. Just trying to have a look at it right now. Yeah, they're going at it. Laszlo dropping a bit back. Lionkin's getting Dimitri. He was battling with Dimitri. It looks like Dimitri's got himself clear, and certainly him battling with Lionkin is going to slow him down. So it'll be interesting. I don't know how hard the racing's going to be with an hour 27 left, but I mean, you never know.
Absolutely. And then I guess as the pit strategies come to play, it's gonna mix things up too.
That'll be really interesting. I'll be interested to see how many drivers practice pit stops. Actually, it's kind of something that people often forget is to practice pit stops, and then they remember, oh yeah, we gotta make pit stops, and then
Well,
things tend to go
they'll get the
downhill from
fuel
there. Yeah.
warning, and then they'll you know, go into a state of panic, as it were.
100%, yeah. It's one of those. How long does it take fuel? That's another part of driving in this is you got to figure out like, well, how long does it take to get? How long does it take to take tires, right? And then
Absolutely. And is it worth it
how
to
long
take
is it on pit in?
tires versus the pace and, you know, all that fun
How long?
stuff?
Yeah, exactly. How long is it on pit in? How long is what's your total pit lane time? It's really important. Oh, no. That might be it. Oh, man. That is really unfortunate. Walter is literally stuck in the wall. Huh. That is unfortunate. Man, yeah, that is unfortunate. That is something that to be honest, you can't really dodge around a set of courses. There, you do have some of that crash welding, but that's kind of just the nature of the game. That's kind of just one of the evils that plagues sim racing is sometimes you don't always. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Sometimes something just doesn't work. I think we have a car off in the S's. I'm just trying to figure out who it is. It's Lorenzo. Lorenzo was off on the inside of the S's. I don't know what happened, or the final corner. I'm not sure what happened. He might have spun. Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting. I think this race has a lot of potential, but given that Road Atlanta is a shorter lap, the pit stops are going to matter a little bit more. It's stopping at a track with a relatively short lap is really gonna sort of, it throws the whole strategy no mix when you can almost go a lap down from taking fuel or taking tires, stuff like that.
Absolutely. It looks like Eric actually is caught back up with that pack, and we'll see how he gets past them. I mean, racing alongside him, he's very good in traffic and can make some really heroic moves and makes it look so easy. So this is gonna be a good one to watch going into that final chicane as he gets around Laszlo here and has a bit of a run on Dimitri, and maybe he can get around Dimitri here as well into that final chicane.
Yeah,
Seems to clear him. Yep.
Long as he, oh, maybe. Eric gets around. Eric is really trying to charge. He's running 17th, but he's honestly probably on route to a top 10. He's lapping good, and he did win the last round. So
yeah, he seems to be catching Lincoln pretty good, and we'll see if he keeps his pace up. He can move up the field, but he certainly does have the pace. So he's just on the hunt now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to him. He's definitely one to watch. Eric's a great guy, but he's also incredibly fast. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
absolutely. Another close little pack here. We got Randy Newman, Colin Ferry, and Mike Wagner. Seems to be a battle for 13th going down behind Mike. While I guess they're both trying to battle for 12th place. So, very interesting to watch as they're kind of rounding the track here, rounding the turn 7 onto the back straight. Seems that draft is actually pretty effective. So let's see how that affects Colin. Carlos as he gets down the back straight here. See if he can catch Mike as they approach the chicane.
I'm just watching Eric and Lincoln battling for 17, or battling for 16, rather, and it is heating up. Eric just blows past him.
Right
just
by him.
Gone.
And going back to Carlos and Mike here, we got very close in the final corner. Carlos goes on the inside here. Mike does have the advantage, and he seems to make it stick, but I bet we're going to see that same style pass into turn 1 if he can get close enough here.
Yeah, Carlos going to be right behind him. Maybe he'll make something work. Mike gets a little bit loose. I don't know if he's overdriving the car or he made a mistake. Not going to help his lap time, though.
Yeah, Carlos does seem to close that gap a little bit more. Carlos had a good line there through first part of turn 4 there, the S's. Mike charging down the hill through that next little set. Seems to run a little bit wide and clip the curb. But I guess Carlos is dealing with Doug Newman now behind him. giving him a threat. So this is going to be very interesting. Doug with a excellent exit out of the turn 5 there. Wow. He squeezes up into 13th place now. He should be able to get it done before turn 6. Oh yeah, that inside line on turn 6, because you do have that camber there on the asphalt, the car just kind of hooks up and goes.
100%. I mean, it's the like I said, you got to be careful with the curbs here, but believe it or not, you can actually use them to your advantage, because there are some that are designed, particularly that one right at the exit of turn 7. You could actually use it. You just got to be careful.
Absolutely. That's care and attention.
The key is being careful. It's very easy to overdrive it, or get a bit greedy with the curb and use it, or use the wrong curb.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like bringing this segment back, but do you have, would you like to hear some Civic EG fun facts?
Yeah, why not? Sure.
All right, so.
I mean to sound non-committal there, but.
I mean, who doesn't love a good fun fact? So,
Yeah,
the
100%.
Honda Civic EG was introduced in late 1991 in the North American market. The economical CX base model came with all manual features, but power brakes. Oh, fancy. It came with an 8-valve, 70 horsepower, 1.5 liter D series motor with a manual transmission, but did 35 miles per gallon in the city and 43 miles per gallon on the highway.
That's on like
Excellent.
you just don't have that nowadays. Straight
Excellent.
up.
I mean,
It's
Prius
just cars.
or
Cars.
Civic.
Well, yeah, but not the, yeah. The Civic's a little bit cooler.
Oh yeah, 100%. Doug Newman now getting up into 12th place from Mike there. Nice little pass there through turn 6. But Mike is staying close behind, and Carlos, same thing. We got a little train going now into the back straight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This should be a lot of fun, especially when we can kind of get draft trains in the Civics. It's very similar to something like the Nissan Micra Cup series or MX-5 Cup. When you get a draft train, you can sign up everybody's car goes a little bit faster.
Carlos squeezes by Mike into the entry into the chicane there, and seems to make it stick. Yeah, beautiful move.
Pretty good moves. You're gonna take Doug too.
Yeah,
when you get one of those passes done, it really kind of does. You kind of keep a bit of a momentum, not necessarily literal momentum sometimes, but you also sort of a mental momentum. You kind of get pumped about it.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's like, okay, I dispatched one, like now time to chase the other guy down, right? And I mean, you saw it in that in his run to the last corner. He just got up on the curb and just kind of really sent it in there. Doug being able to open up a bit of a gap, but I'm sure Carlos is pushing hard to try to catch up to him and see if he can get that coveted 12th place spot as it is right now.
Yeah, things are really heating up here.
Absolutely. Mike Wagner staying close behind with Carlos as well for 13th place. Let's see what we got going on as well. Looks like Thomas is...
fun fact, by the way. I didn't have anything written down, so I appreciate the Civic fun facts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You gotta stay prepared with your fun facts.
Make it one up if you want.
Should we have a fake Civic fun fact?
I don't have one off the top of my head. I'm not that good at improv.
Here's another real one. The Civic was sold at Honda Primo dealerships in Japan. As we know, in Japan, many different car companies, Honda included, basically they have actually, it's not necessarily subsets of brands, but you have different dealerships based on the vehicles that you want to purchase. So like Honda has, Primo, which is, their smaller cars and stuff. And then the upscale Honda dealerships where you would find, with the Honda Legends, they're more luxurious vehicles were sold at the Honda Domani dealerships, which is very interesting. So all different kinds of dealerships for the same brand, which is a pretty weird Japanese thing. Oh, he drops down.
Oh, no.
Oh, he drops, falls down the order. Looks like he might rejoin. Oh. Randy just squeezes by. Michael rejoins in 15th place after running through the top 10 there. Yeah. Looks like there's a battle heating up between the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. They're all actually running fairly close together here. We got a pack of Look, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in fairly close contention, and Nathan Hodgins running in 8th place, actually fairly close behind as well. So this should be another on-track battle, which is going to be heating up. Have Ujwal here running in fourth place, just riding along with him as he catches Jackson de la Vieira.
100%. I mean, it'll certainly be interesting because I don't know how the tires are doing at this point. I don't know if they kind of have the same gusto that they can to be making moves that they were making previously. They might not though. It also depends on how the fuel's burning.
Absolutely. I mean, Ujwal's really riding up close with Jackson right now. He's riding along with on his roof, and we can see he's kind of trying to stay on his bumper. In a set of course that's particularly tricky, just by the way the kind of servers handle the vehicle positioning on track, that you kind of tend to have this ghost movement where the car moves around, you know, a foot or two actually within its, I guess, positioning box or a hit box, if you will. So it actually makes it pretty tricky to follow close behind other vehicles, because it's been happened more than a couple times to me where it's kind of caught me out, and I've ended up getting into contact with another vehicle, you know, without intending to.
And it's not explicitly a sort of course thing. It really is just kind of just one of the factors of online racing. It is one of those things where it's kind of just it just does that.
Yeah. Randy seems to have taken his pit stop now, so I wonder if he's going in for fuel and tires as well.
Maybe. Let's get an update, see how Randy's doing.
Sitting with him in the pits right now. Seems to be a pretty long stop actually, so we'll have to check in with him and see what he did for his pit strategy, and see how that plays out over the race as well. Ujwal's running in 4th still, rounding the first corner here. Very, very close behind to Jackson, keeping him honest. Edgar Lee actually not too far behind as well in 5th place. Running along with Nathan Hodgins, who's caught up with Thomas Langiel as well, so a battle for 7th place as well. Quite a few close on-track battles right now, which is pretty solid. You know, now that the drivers have kind of settled in, and we've had half an hour of the race pass by so far.
100%. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's the middle of the race, so I don't want to call anything. I don't want to say that the guys at the front might walk away with it, because we really have that pit stop coming up. But nothing is set in stone. You never know what strategy people are going to take, whether they take tires, whether they take fuel, whether they take more fuel than they need to balance the car down. People could also just mess up pit stops. That's a plenty that happens kind of a dime a dozen, and that will of course drastically affect your race. Nice
Absolutely.
battle for 5th.
Yeah, it looks like Michael running right alongside with Edgar Lee here. See if he can make something stick here. He's kind of on the inside. Does he get it done? Ooh, let's see if he can maintain his momentum out through the last corner here. It's very tricky to pass actually into the entry of chicane, because you tend to kind of run it a little bit deep, but it really costs you in terms of your exit speed onto the second half of the chicane and then the front straight past start finish. So you kind of have to bide your time and make sure you don't run too deep, and that can cost you.
Yeah, 100%. Just kind of looking around now.
Ujwal very close behind Jackson as well. He's right on him.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It's gotta be sick. They're getting there. It also looks like the leaders are starting to catch lap cars. Each now going a lap down.
Yep. I mean, even the leaders, Val and Colin B actually, relatively in close company. I mean, Val is got a little bit of a gap, but Colin seems to be lapping at the same pace. He's maintained that 3.5 second gap for quite a while now. Let's see if Ujwal gets a good run out of here onto the back straight, and see if he can make up that time. It looks like he got a good exit. Now, whether or not he can catch Jackson before that chicane, I guess time will tell. Seems to be running at half a second, so maybe a missed shift. Starts to close the gap a little bit, but unless he can do it under braking, I don't think it's going to happen.
And that will happen, honestly, in the H pattern cars as the race goes on. You kind of just you get tired, you know, like it's just exhausting. You just start missing gears. The gearboxes are pretty tough in these things. So you kind of just throw it in gear, you know. Or you just try it. Oh, Jackson's going wide.
Yep.
Big slide. Ujwal, he didn't quite
Ooh.
get to capitalize. Had to brake, so we didn't drive through him.
Ujwal's gonna get this done into turn one. See, you can see the car squirming nervously. Nope, nope. He backs out of it there actually a little bit. Let Jackson run through, even though he was on the outside line. You can see now the car starting to get real nervous under braking into turn one as the back end just kind of wants to come around, but still kind of find grip. So a little bit unstable. Ujwal's really flying through these S's and just manages to stick onto Jackson's bumper like glue.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're both driving these cars pretty much as good as they can through these S's. It'll be interesting to see how this could potentially affect maybe tires. I don't, given that they are semi-slicks and the Civic really doesn't weigh anything, I don't suspect drivers will be making a tire stop. They'll probably just be making a fuel stop. But battle like this might lead might flip things in the other direction. I mean, it may make it so that you do need a tire stop. Who knows?
Absolutely. Nathan Hodgins, actually, which we were riding on previously last lap for his nice pass on Thomas there. Thomas managed to squeeze by, but it looks like Nathan got that position back. So looks like he may be able to hold on to it for good. We will see, but nice little bits of action from those two as they're racing along. Let's sit in with Michael Gaglione now, who's really close on Ujwal, who seems to have lost a little bit of ground. From Jackson. Oh, and runs a little wide there on that last corner, and maybe Michael can stick through on the inside. Yeah, looks like he has the pace. Now let's see if he can try moving to turn one. He seems to have that extra momentum coming in. Oh, sticks behind, tries to send it in. Ooh, little bit of oversteer.
Yeah, just a touch. It's
Oh, it looks like Colin is going to the pits now. So our second place car, and he's just exiting now. I'm sure he just went in for a fuel splash, and he'll probably rejoin in 10th place, it looks like. Just behind Philip
around
Oliveira,
there,
who's running
yeah.
in 9th. Let's take a look at Val now. Val's still running in the lead, chugging along well. Now has a nice little gap behind him from Jackson. Trying to get around lap traffic here. Seems to be able to dispatch it without too many issues. Why don't we get a little grid update and see what's going on with the rest of our drivers and where they're sitting.
Val's currently running first. Jackson's running second. Ujwal's going to be third. Gaglione's in fourth. Hey, oh, hang on. Gaglione might actually be battling for third. We'll do a grid update in a second.
Yeah, this is really good. I
Might get a
just
move
clicked
for
in.
third.
Looks like he's gonna have the run and squeeze up. Now, whether or not he can protect that outside, I mean, Ujwal does have the inside line, so let's see what happens. Nope, Ujwal backs out, and Michael's now up into third place. It's very tricky if you're on the inside and when you're coming into those chicanes. Like, I mean, do you protect the inside and run deep? Does it cost you your exit? Do you just back out of it, let him by, and then try to get a good exit on the second half of that chicane, and then try to make a move into turn one, right? Like these are the kind of things that you gotta kind of balance out and figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, and Road Atlanta really does only have a couple passing opportunities. It's really like 1, 2, 3. The S is if you're brave, but you kind of have to trust the guy you're racing with.
Yeah. And then I guess you have turn 6, turn 7. You don't really want to because it seems to. It's always pretty tight, and you want to take an inside line to that hairpin, so you kind of have to.
If you're passing through 7 to go onto the back straight, you kind of have to start it in 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really kind of your only option. Oh, Lorenzo is disconnected. Oh no,
It's unfortunate.
that is unfortunate.
Joseph Yang in the pits now as well. Sure, he's taking his fuel and tires, and he's going to be rejoining most likely in 13th behind Mike Wagner. Mike Wagner still running in 12th, doing a decent job. Doug Newman just up the road here in 11th place. Quite a big gap to Carlos now, who's running in 10th. And yeah, looks like our close battle so far. Eric's now moved up into 15th, and he's closing in on Michael Puchik. So let's sit with that. Michael, locks up the rear and ends up in the wall at the start of the S's. That was,
man.
ooh, a little bit messy. I mean, the good thing about if you do lock up there at the first part, you do have that little bit of extra asphalt when you rejoin the track, which kind of helps getting you back on track and running a little bit faster. But
It's
because
true.
of that
Yeah.
mistake, Eric has now opened up a nice gap, and he's going to be closing in on Joseph Yang soon, I'm betting, based on his pace, who's certainly seemed to be getting comfortable now and moving up the order.
100% too. And the thing with going off there is you do get to use that chicane. It's part of the club layout, which is the worst racetrack layout known to man. The notorious Road Atlanta club layout is disgusting.
Quite awful.
But when you go off there, you kind of get to rejoin, and it's not the best place to rejoin, honestly. You're also on the inside of the corner, and it's blind. And the other person can't avoid you. It's really not.
You keep your relative
fun.
on. You gotta watch, right? You gotta be careful. That's what we pay the big bucks for. Carlos now
That's
going
true,
to the
yeah.
pits now for his stop. So it looks like the pit window's starting to open up. We're seeing more drivers come in for fuel. Eric moves up into 13th now because of that. Yeah, let's look at third place here because it seems to be pretty close. Squeeze now on track between Michael Gaglione and Jackson Oliveira, both running second and third respectively.
Yeah, Carlos Ferrer down and away, leaving the pit lane now.
Both going to
Lion
pits.
also in.
Looks like Jackson had a little bit of moment there getting into the pits there. It's quite interesting.
We are approaching the point in time where we're getting near the hour mark. I wouldn't necessarily stop it now, though.
We are seeing quite a few drivers now into the pits. Basically from second place to seventh, all entering the pits. Lion
overshot a little bit.
That's gonna hurt him a little bit. He's gonna have to back up.
Yeah, it's gonna cost him. A lot of people stopping now. So it seems like today, everybody might be trying to capitalize on everybody else stopping. It might have just been one person stopping, where everybody was kind of like, "Well, I guess we're stopping now."
Yep, yeah, I guess it's reactionary, right? Philip as well entering the pits. Val is still running out there. Once again, I wonder if he's going to try to go long and then hammer in some good laps while the drivers in the pits take advantage of him being on worn tires and the other drivers kind of re-entering the track.
Side by side leaving the pits.
Whoa!
They were side by side through that pit lane, and which is very risky, given that there's a concrete wall on one side. But it would have, I mean, they almost would have blocked it for everybody, which would have been interesting at least.
Yeah,
might have not been favorable, but it was probably
a little bit of a blockage. It's all good. Our leader is now entering the pits. We got Val coming in for a stop.
Eric's also in. Oh, Val misses it a little bit. Might have to throw it in reverse. Oh, no, I think it's going to work.
A lot of drivers missing their box. It seems to be pretty tricky. We saw Michael Buchik actually miss his box there after reverse as well. Mike Wagner rejoining the track. Now he'll be rejoining in 13th place. Val still sitting in the pits. I wonder if he's taking tires.
Oh, I don't know how long it takes to take fuel, but he might be taking the full tank. Maybe he did take
Colin
tires.
is flying by. Now, Val seems like he'll be able to rejoin and maintain his lead, which is quite the achievement, frankly. I mean, that shows how he's been so good this whole race.
And a pretty good strategy call, honestly. That the overcut seemed to work, and he got his running in clean air, and then that's really the key to making overcut work.
Absolutely
Colin
right.
didn't come out that far behind though. Like wasn't exactly. It was kind of the best you could hope for, but an overcut around here might not be the game plan, even if it does give you that advantage.
For sure. I mean, prior to the pit stop, we saw Colin running in the 3-second range, and I mean, both of them have now made their stops, and it looks like that gap has been maintained. I mean, Val's trying to dispatch a little bit of traffic, so we're seeing it kind of dip into the 2.5 to 3-second range. But I'm sure Colin's gonna have to deal with that traffic too. So, yeah, I mean, it's a net equal for both of them. Val obviously benefited running long to get a good lap in on those hot tires, as it's doesn't seem to have lost any track position, which, I mean, can be so dicey when you are the leader of a race, right? To lose that position is not fun. You never want to lose first place.
No, 100%. It's even if you know that it's a long race and you know you've got, even in some cases, hours and hours left to get the lead back, it's still nice to say you're leading.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of strategies in racing are basically do what the leader doesn't do. And so now that you're not leading, you have the advantage of being able to just kind of do what the leader doesn't do, or do what the leader does.
Really close battle here with Edgar Lee and Ujwal. Edgar's gonna actually, is he gonna try to squeeze on the inside? Nope.
Oh man.
Ooh, but Thomas gets a really good exit out of that chicane because I guess Edgar Lee was trying to squeeze that inside line. And it looks like Thomas is they're side by side to the last corner. Edgar actually taking a little bit of the grass there. Seems to have a nice little cut on that final corner. He's been taking that. He's been taking that last corner pretty aggressively on that curbing. Who else we got there? We got Nathan Hodgins in the mix as well. Trying to make a move on Edgar. Let's see if he can get it done. He seems to have a really nice line on the inside there. Side by side in the S's. Guess he's going to have to lift, bide his time.
Yeah, and that turn 3 just before you go into the S's, that right hand kind of tricky. You turn in right for 1 and then you go left for 2, and then it's going to blind over the crest for 3. It's really difficult, but when you nailing that corner is really the key to starting off your S's right, because not only does it get you on the correct line, but you also are maintaining the right amount of speed. So
Absolutely.
you know that you're not gonna chuck it in too hard.
Yeah, it's very easy to end up in a compromising position through the S's if you don't really if you don't get a good exit at turn 3 there. It can really cost you a lot of momentum, especially in approaching that really quick left-hander there at T5.
Nathan all over the back bumper at Edgar
all
Lee.
Over him, and hey, we'll see if he can get it done here. The draft seems to be working pretty well for these drivers in this back straight.
Who knows though? It's not quite Daytona 500 levels, but when you're in the draft, you can save a little bit of fuel.
That is true.
Don't think it's going to matter that much. It is a Honda Civic, but
Nathan running it on the inside, just into the braking zone, but gets out of it there. Ooh. Very.
He's trying though. You can tell he wants it.
He does, and he seems to get a good exit of this final corner. It seems like a lot of the drivers, they've been, maybe they haven't made they don't want to make that pass in that first part of the chicane, so a lot of them are choosing to kind of back out of it, try to get a better run. Oh, a little bit of a bump there.
He bumps him. Man, car on the inside. Anthony gonna let him by.
Yeah, friendly tap, just to let him know that he's there.
Heating up between Nathan and Edgar.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a good battle, a close one to follow. These guys, they're both talented drivers, so it's really going to be interesting to see how this progresses, especially because I know Edgar tends to show some pretty good pace, but not necessarily in a front-wheel drive car. So I think Edgar, at least in the sim, so Edgar's he might be kind of discovering a diamond in the rough for him.
Absolutely. I mean, he seems to be keeping Nathan Hodgins honest, who has quite a lot of pace. So it's pretty interesting. Nathan squeezes on the inside. Let's see if he can make it down to the hairpin here.
Oh, good tap.
Ooh, a little bit of a tap.
A little bit of a touch.
And down Nathan there 19th clears it, but now Edgar's gonna have to deal with Joseph Yang.
100% Joseph Yang right there, but more importantly is Eric going to try and maybe get a lap back. No, he's going to lift a bit. I thought he was going to try and get his lap back the hard way, but he's going to play nice. Edgar's probably not thrilled that he lost it, so he's definitely going to try and get that place back.
Yeah, so let's see what they do in the chicane here. Once again, we're probably going to see that same kind of thing, right? Try to get a good exit. Edgar kind of running onto the curbing and the little speed bumps there quite a bit, so that might cost them a touch. Very aggressive over the crest there down in the last corner. Seems like Nathan's starting to open up a little bit of a gap, and Joseph seems to be closing. So might be an interesting battle for 8th now as we see this play out.
Yeah, 100%.
Joseph has a really good run through turn 1 and now closes the gap quite a bit.
Oh man, Joseph is there. He wants that place. Not willing to get, but Edgar's not willing to give it up easy. It'll certainly be interesting to see how it goes. Yang's right there. He's in that grass too.
They're really pushing to their limit.
He's driving this car.
Just driving the wheels off of it, and
driving it.
Absolutely
I
nuts.
mean, and Edgar's honestly, he cracked a little bit when he was battling Nathan, but he's showing real good composure when being kind of in these bumper to bumper battles for progressive laps. I mean, the pressure will sometimes get to the driver and then they'll make a mistake, but I mean, Edgar didn't necessarily make a mistake when Nathan got past him. Nathan just kind of got a better line. Joseph Yang all over Edgar like a butter on toast. Gonna try and
Absolutely,
go
just
around the outside.
going around the outside here.
It might work.
Yo,
Make the
makes it
draft work.
stick. That
Yeah,
draft seems to be working for those
it's a good
drivers.
move.
Absolutely, I
Good
think
move. I don't realize the draft was that strong.
yeah,
Edgar might have even missed a gear there, maybe.
for
That
sure.
seems a bit strong for the draft. Regardless,
Honestly, I'm
though,
thinking
Joseph
it's
Yang,
that turn 7 exit, right? It's so key, and especially in a front wheel drive
it
car,
really is.
you can so easily just light up the front tires, and that'll cost you all of your speed down that back straight. So that obviously
And it's,
combined with the draft it makes a big impact. Joseph getting a little this car is starting to get a little bit oversteery. I imagine what's happening actually is the rear tires. I mean, although obviously they're probably not wearing down too much. Um, they're probably a little cold. They probably need a blanket or something because there's not a lot of weight over those rear tires, and I'm sure those drivers are struggling to keep the temperature in them.
yeah, 100%. The other thing too with the right rears, or honestly with both rear tires in this, is they're going to be cold, so you're also going to be locking them too. So they're not going to be as consistent with the grip. You might be flat spotting them, just by the nature of a front wheel drive car. It's really difficult to keep the heat in the rears.
Absolutely.
If you're in a front rear car, you can keep
Yeah,
the
I mean
rears
you
with the
have
gas heat in front with the turning. But when the gas and the turning affects the fronts, you'll get overheating on the front and you'll get underheating or cooling on the back, and it's kind of a hassle.
for sure. I mean that's the thing with a front wheel drive vehicle, right? You're asking for power, delivery, as well as the steering all coming through the same set of wheels, right? Versus a front engine rear wheel drive car where you can your power is coming to the back and then your steering's happening at the front. So obviously a lot easier to manage your tire wear that way, right? Because the tires are doing, they each got their own set of tasks. You're not asking for, one set to do everything, and then the other one kind of just slacks along like he's the class slacker on a group project, and you end up doing all the work,
Yeah, I've been there.
Oh, for sure, haven't we all?
Yeah.
Edgar's kind of fallen behind, actually. I saw he had a little bit of an incident on the grass coming out of turn 6 into turn 7. Now Eric's kind of close behind. See if he can get a lap around. Ooh, understeer into turn 1 for Edgar. Luckily, that's just lap traffic behind him, and he seems to still have a good gap to Philip, who's running in 10th. But those kinds of mistakes are going to cost him as the race goes on.
I watched a little bit of the battle between 16th and 17th between Puchik and Laszlo.
Well,
Puchik and Laszlo off. And it's getting pretty close, honestly. Laszlo's there. He's just not quite getting past him yet. And in hindsight, going through 6 and 7 there, he seemed a bit low in the RPMs. He might be maybe fuel saving a little bit. Maybe he didn't take as much fuel on the stop.
maybe not, right? I mean, a lot of these drivers were figuring out their strategy ahead of time and trying to figure out how much fuel to carry in advance. Like we said, some drivers might just take a full load and take advantage of that weight distribution. But then some drivers might be, trying to push to the limit, see if they can get that advantage with lighter weight, especially on, the back straight, right? Even a lighter load, it might cost you a little bit in the corners. That lighter fuel is going to make a pretty decent difference in terms of straight line speed.
100%. The gap's still there. Laszlo was able to close up quite a bit into the chicane. I just don't think he can get past. That's the main problem. I mean, just getting there is half the battle. Laszlo, dipping a wheel in the grass. Not the cleanest turn 1 I've seen.
For sure. I think Michael didn't have an easy turn 1 either. So, I mean, the gap is kind of staying the same. I mean, a little bit has opened up.
Way wide. Way wide.
Laszlo gets in. Oh, I think Michael saw he was in a compromising position there, and I guess he just gave up the position because
yeah, just keeps it steady. And
I'm sure it would have been contact if he stayed in it.
100%. Laszlo with a pretty good move, just kind of keeping it steady and riding out the storm, so to speak. Gonna come as Ujwal comes by to put him a lap down.
Why don't we jump in with Colin up here in P2? He seems to have closed a little bit to Val now. He's running within 1.8, 1.9 seconds. Um, so he's been able to chomp a second off that lead from Val. So seems to be really running really strong pace-wise. The leaders are in the low 136s. Val just running a 136 360, which is kind of bananas. Colin not too far behind with a 136 678.
Yeah, I mean they're both still putting down pretty decent lap times, even for a worn tire. Really makes you think if Val did take tires. 3/10. I don't know if that's new tires though. That could just be getting comfortable with the setup and kind of getting your nose to the proverbial grindstone.
That is fair. I mean, Val does have an EG Civic in the flesh in real life as well that he does take to the track quite a bit. So I'm sure he's very familiar with the vehicle that he is piloting around today.
Yeah, that would probably give you an advantage. Eric Del Riva's just done a personal best of 137.6.
Not bad, not bad. So he
Yeah,
seems to be getting his time down quite a bit, getting more
Nathan's gone
comfortable.
off. Nathan goes off in turn 3, skipping through the grass, going to lose some time. And a place as Joseph Yang goes around the outside. Unfortunate. That's what we were talking about with Road Atlanta. Is the turn 3 and the S's, they're pretty committal. You don't really get to change your mind once you make a mistake, and so it's one of those, you made your bed, now you got to lay in it.
Oh, for sure. Are we ready for another Honda Civic fun fact as we watch some of the cars drive around here?
We want to do another Honda Civic. Let's do a Honda Civic fun fact, and then let's do a proverbial ad break.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Pay the bills.
Absolutely. So
let's get the Civic fun fact first, though.
In Indonesia, the EG Civic had two body styles: the sedan, which is nicknamed the Genio, and then the three-door hatch, which was nicknamed the Estilo. Both came with the D16 single overhead cam motor that produced 120 to 130 horsepower, and were available with a 5-speed manual or 4-speed automatic transmission.
Four whole gears?
4 whole gears. I will take
an... also get 5 whole gears.
I will take an Estilo with a 5-speed. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Is that the hatch?
That is the hatch.
I would much rather have
I am a hatchman.
A sedan with 120 horsepower, it doesn't sound fun.
Hatch with 120 horsepower, though, sounds like a good time to me.
That sounds like a bit more fun.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, way more practical. Let's just get real here.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
Fits the same amount of people, doesn't it?
Oh, I think it's a 4 or 5-seater. Well, this is back when the Civic was a subcompact car, so I mean, this Civic is actually smaller than the Honda Fit that we have now, right? The current Honda Civic is actually bigger than the I believe the 1997, like that kind of generation Accord. So it just shows how big cars have gotten over the last 10, 15, 20 years.
I want to run an ad break now. While we get just past the hour point in.
All right, let's do it. Let's have a word from our sponsors, and we will be back momentarily.
Alrighty.
Once again, thank you to DriverMod, Philip Oliveira at DriverMod.ca, who has graciously hosted the server for us. You can read his musings at DriverMod.ca, all his fun articles about his track adventures, his experiences with Ontario Time Attack, and so much more. Getting back to the Enduro here, looks like the closest battles that we have on track right now, we got Philip Oliveira actually closing in on Edgar for that 9th place position. Edgar runs wide at T3 and Philip slips on by. So, I mean, not the first time that Edgar's have had his little offs and airs there. So, Philip's able to capitalize and now move up to the 9th place.
Yeah, and you got to feel for him because turn 3, it's really a difficult corner. It doesn't look difficult, but when you kind of get over that crest in 2 and you realize that turn 3 looks like it just drops off because it does go down the hill. So you don't actually see the apex until you turn in. And if
Yeah,
you turn in when you see the apex, you're way late.
it's turning by feel. That is for sure. You really, it's just all memorization. As Nathan Hodgins for 7th place on Joseph Yang, closing in fairly quickly into the chicane. I imagine he'll try to. Ooh, takes a look, but stays out of it. Trying to get a good run out of here. Down the hill for the final corner and past the start-finish straight. Seems to have some pretty good pace. Joseph getting a good run there as well. So he'll probably hold his position. We'll see what happens into turn 1 here. Rounding in. Both kind of keeping it tidy, neat and tidy. Looks like they're both approaching lap car. Into turn 3 where we've seen a couple drivers get caught out there. Nathan got a little bit aggressive, but you know, able to close into Joseph actually, which has been really good for him. So we'll see how this develops as the lap goes on. He seems to be getting really on his bumper now.
Well, we did have a change too. Carlos and Doug swapped for 11th. Doug got past him. Doug kind of seems to be walking away a little bit.
Good stuff. That's really good. Yeah, Doug seems to have opened up quite a gap to Carl. Opened up quite a gap from the cars behind, and now opening up on Carlos now, opening up in 1.2 seconds in fairly short order. Still has quite a way to go to catch up to 10th place with Ed Gurley. You know, about 20% of a lap behind, so I'm sure he's got his work cut out for him if we want to see him further up in the order in the top 10.
100%. Driver's kind of just settling in now. We're kind of at the weird, awkward halfway point of every endurance race where you kind of just, cars kind of just lap.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we still have some close
Walter's
battles
going
on
into the pits.
Oh, I wonder. Very interesting. Wonder if he
it.
didn't take enough fuel or...
Yeah, he also made a bit of a detour through the grass, so at first I was worried that it might have not been intentional, but now it seems intentional.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's strange with Road Atlanta as you're approaching that last corner. That the pit entry can really catch you by surprise.
Yeah, it really is. It's.
Ooh, lap car getting on the
sketchy
grass there.
Nathan and Joseph still going at it.
Still going at it. Very, very close. Nathan staying on his bumper, staying within 2/10. Really, really pushing hard.
Yeah, he's really right there. He's ready to capitalize on any sort of a mistake that happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You tend to be, you know, as your driver defending position. Ooh, goes. Oh, whoa.
Keep running it. Oh, he's good. They keep going.
They keep going. I think he got a little bit advantageous there, a little eager, over eager, if you will. Try to take advantage of that inside. I mean, Joseph kind of left a little bit of a gap, so Nathan went for it, but you know, the gap disappeared very quickly, and then you know.
Oh. Carlos getting sideways through the S's. Sorry, but yeah, no, I'm glad to see they both kept it going straight. It was a good battle, but I hate to see it ruined.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, they kept it respectful. They, you know, gave each other the room, and you know, the battle resumes.
Just point out the battle between Carlos and Doug Newman for 11th. Carlos got sideways about 4 times in the S's. Kept it going straight though. It was just interesting to watch as Val's going to lap him again.
For sure, Val is now. Wow, I guess if he's lapping Carlos now, he's cleared almost half the field, which is, I mean, he's been having quite the race.
Yeah, Val's just been having a good, consistent race. The only real mistake we saw was lap 1 where he let a car by, but that's not necessarily a mistake. That's just kind of lap 1.
For sure. I mean, Colin Bees is once again within 2 seconds, like staying very close behind. So, I mean, I'm sure we're going to see this unfold close to the end of the race. These two kind of battling it out for that first position.
100% Walter looking past Dimitri for 20th.
Somebody getting way sideways there. Not sure who that was. I believe that was could have been be Edgar or Colin actually, but somebody getting really out of sorts on the exit of the last corner there.
Yeah, somebody was really kind of stepping out there.
Val kind of getting impeded by traffic, and Colin might be able to capitalize. He's now 3/10. And on that inside line, ooh, Val having to take a, ooh, for the lead.
This could be for the lead. Now remember, those guys are battling for position. They're entitled to that battle. Val's the one lapping them, but that could have just cost Val his lead. Colin looking to make a run.
Trying to go on the outside, maybe see if he can get a good run through turn 6 here and get the inside line to 7. Seems to make it stick.
Val gives him room.
Val has to run wide. Val's no choice.
Ooh.
And we got a lead change, although Val has a really good run, so we'll see if he can squeeze back in on the outside there to get a good run through the chicane. See if he can have that pace. Yeah, it looks like Colin filtering in behind Val.
40 with just under 40 minutes left. A lead change. Things can heat up. It makes you think how long this lead change can go on.
Absolutely.
This lead battle can go on. It's gonna start wearing out. They're over an hour into this race, and that's kind of around the point where you start getting sick of it, so to speak. It kind of starts wearing on you.
Oh, for sure, right? Because I mean, you run in the race, you get in your groove, but I mean, these are the kinds of things that keep you on your toes as a driver, and you know, obviously as time goes on with these endurance races, fatigue is a very real thing, right? And it can cause you to make key mistakes, and you know, obviously with traffic as well, it's another component of it. As we see here, you know, another lapped car that the leaders are trying to squeeze by, and ooh, I think Colin kind of gets the worst of that. He ends up hitting that little curb there. Val seems to squeeze by pretty cleanly, although you know, he hasn't shook Colin off him yet.
Doesn't lose out too much, but he does lose out. See if they can make him. Is he going to try the same thing into 6th that Val did to him?
Yeah.
Not quite there, Val.
Val seems to actually have the advantage here. Colin, ooh, very aggressive there, and I think that's going to really cost him his exit.
That is going to hurt him.
Yeah. He just
might have just slid it a bit.
Just understeered on that entry, just trying to get a little aggressive, and that cost him his. I mean, that cost him hitting the apex, and you know, that's all your momentum on that back straight gone. Despite the draft, it's you know, now look, almost a second again, so he's gonna have to keep that pace solid. I mean, at least with the leaders now, they seem to be clear of traffic for the next little while, so they're kind of free to run here and get some good clean laps in.
Yeah, they got a decent amount of space, and they got like 1 or 2 cars in front of them before they really catch another pack. So if anything, this will be Val's chance, and at Colin's disadvantage. In my experience, usually traffic really helps the guy in 2nd or 3rd, because once the leader leads the track, so to speak, everyone else can kind of capitalize.
Oh, for sure. You know, and as the guy chasing as well, right? You know, Val is running in clean air. There's nobody in front of him, so you know, it's basically just, you know, yourself, the car, and the track. So it's really easy to run clean laps. You know, whereas the guy behind, you tend to, you know, you see that position and you chase and you end up, you know, pushing. And yeah, you know, you follow the line of the guy in front. You can close that gap and it can work, but also sometimes you can get in your head and, you know, be too aggressive, and you know, you end up losing that time as well. Once again, Colin actually gaining through the S's and through that little complex of corners, although once again a little shaky through turn 7, and now back to that 0.7 second gap. So Val seems to have the upper hand here, although
absolutely. Doug Newman, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Doug Newman just goes past Carlos for 11th, actually happening, funny enough, just in front of them on track.
Absolutely, Carlos running a handy race, actually. You know, despite his little incidences here and there, you know, 12th place is not a bad spot at all to be sitting in this field for sure.
Well, over to Val, having a quick look. Still has his lead. Carlos not quite able to capitalize. Looks like Doug's sort of gotten his way with it.
Absolutely. Colin keeping him honest, but Val's kind of opening that gap slightly. We have Leo and Dimitri actually, very close battle between these two. Coming through the S's now. Leo kind of sticking on Dimitri's bumper. Let's see if Dimitri can hold him off, or Leo's gonna vie for that position.
Yeah, let's have a quick check. Dimitri just kind of running his line, not doing anything fancy, just running his line. Leo's looking, not quite there. Might try a move into 6, maybe? No, backs out of it.
Backs out of it, but maybe gets a good run here. I think this turn 7 is going to be very key for this battle. They seem to both take it really tight. Dimitri runs wide. Oh! Leo with the... Oh,
just runs him over.
you hate to see it.
Looks like he's stopping there. I don't know what happened, but
You hate to see it. But
might be a problem.
yeah, it looks like Leo's kind of
going.
falling off here. Dimitri gets going again. But it did cost them quite a bit of time, as the back markers have seemed to catch them now as well. Walter B now, attempting to.
You're coming down pit road. Don't know why, but
Wonder if he went light on fuel as well and needs another stop.
I don't.
That means Doug now running up in 10th place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no strategist. I don't think the 2-stop would have been the call for this race. I think maybe 1-stop might have been fine, but maybe just trying to be flexible with when that first stop is, so that you're not pitting with everybody. You can run in that clean air.
Exactly. Mike Wagner moving up at 12th now as well. Looks like Edgar's still in the pits. I wonder if he decided to take tires. Eric in 14th behind Edgar, now rounding the last corner. So I think Edgar's going to be safe in 13th. But Eric now will be much closer to that 13th place, and can maybe make up a position. Eric just about to round the first corner, and Edgar is now back on track towards turn 3. So still a little bit of a gap, but should be an interesting one to watch nonetheless. Looking at Colin and Val, still very close together.
100%. Yeah, that gap really hasn't. It's fluctuating, but it's not dwindling. If you know what I mean. It's changing, but it's not. It seems that any sort of time that Val gains, as Colin absolutely blows over that curb.
Oh yeah.
Anytime that Val's gaining, it's not
Colin,
really. Oh,
Colin in the pits.
What?
I wonder if a two.
I didn't see that coming.
I wonder if a two-stopper is necessary.
Maybe they do. Does Colin stop for the same amount of time as Val? But he just stopped earlier.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I wonder if we bring a driver in. Maybe. I mean, Val looks like he may have a little bit of space there. Let's bring him in and see what he's thinking in terms of his strategy.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let me go grab Val. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. So I mean, it's strange to see Colin pitting again. Based on my conversations with the drivers earlier, I assumed it would have been a 1-stop, but I mean, we've seen multiple drivers pit, for their second stop as well. So this may be a 2-stopper in terms of strategy, as it turns out. I mean, with that, Val running a really good race out in D1 still. Colin was very
Val was in the booth. Val, you've been running a pretty good race so far. You seem to be very confident in this car. How are you doing?
Enjoying it. But the person who was making me sweat for the longest time has just pit early. We're on slightly different strategies right now.
So you think you're gonna have to stop again?
I definitely have to stop again, and because I was able to talk to the person breathing down my neck, it sounds like I have to take a little less fuel than him.
Oh.
He took 2 larger tanks than I did.
Oh, I see. Oh, so you guys are kind of going for a 2-stop strategy. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought a 1-stop strategy would have been the call for the race, but I didn't know the fuel burn.
The fuel is definitely going to need 2 stops, and because the tires get changed at the same time and the tires are quicker, there's basically no strategy for tires. You just take them.
Interesting.
Okay, interesting. I figured you wouldn't be able to save time on tires, but yeah, I guess if the tires take less, yeah, 100%. Well, thanks for shining light on the pit stop situation. Yeah, you've been running a pretty good race so far. So Well, I guess good luck. Anything else?
I'm gonna need the luck. Colin's gonna be really close after I do my final pit stop.
Yeah,
This will be
traffic
close,
traffic has been
absolutely.
interesting actually. Not too kind to you. They
Yeah,
it's
you saw the one at the top of the hill.
Oh yes we did. I mean that took all of the gap away that you had
Yeah,
on Colin, and then it was just a close battle on the laps afterwards. So
it was bad timing. I thought I had the nose in and Walter would let me had it, but he didn't. So I had to just like panic brake.
yeah, I know. I'm sure in the last couple minutes as you guys run through traffic again, I'm sure it's gonna be very interesting for that that win. So it'll be a good one to watch.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
For sure, the traffic giveth and the traffic taketh. Don't laugh at me. Thanks for joining us, Val. Have a good race.
Thanks.
Thanks, Val.
That was Val. Appreciate it. I swear, I am an actual commentator, guys.
Yeah, hey, tongue twisters. Yeah, happens to the best of us.
I hate to see it. 30 minutes remain in this race.
Colin B in 5th now after his pit stop. Ooh, trying to sit on the inside of Jackson. Gets Jackson a little out of sorts. Seems to back out of it. So Jackson can continue. I wonder if he got his right rear there and tried to pinch him. It's very interesting.
Well, I mean, now that we know the strategy for fuel and tires, it really does put a whole new perspective on the race. Here I was thinking that maybe and a stop of fuel. It turns out it's actually going to be 2 stops taking tires and fuel. I didn't know that. So
That's why they pay us the big bucks to not understand the strategy, as it were.
that is true. Well, I don't get paid big bucks to be a strategizer. I get paid big bucks to say things on a microphone.
Exactly. And some of them are accurate, but not all of them.
Gaglione is in the pits.
Yep, so I'm guessing he's going for his second stop now. Ujjwal running in 3rd place, but yet to stop on his second stop. But he's going to take second with Gaglione now pitting in.
See how that goes. I don't know I don't know how long the stop is.
It seems to be a decent amount of time. You know, Michael looks like he'll be rejoining in 8th or 9th by the looks of it. He just gets going now again. Seems to, yeah, no, he'll get out before Philip does and gets out in 7th.
I think he'll get out in 7th. Yeah, I was going to say, Philip just coming down the hill now.
Yep, as Michael just exiting the pits now.
This will be very interesting, though. I didn't realize they were going to have to make another stop.
Absolutely. I mean, it really changes up the whole flow of the race.
Yeah.
Colin getting really aggressive there. Ends up on the grass a little bit, managed to hold it together.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th have all really grouped up, surprisingly.
Oh, very much so.
Val still has not stopped.
Yep, you have Ujjwal running in 2nd. You have Jackson a second behind in 3rd place, and then Colin in 4th place, closing in on Jackson, but can't seem to make a move stick. I wonder if this little deficit that he's going to have in his pace running with the cars here might cost him the battle with Val. Ooh.
Whoa!
Seems to run a little wide there. I guess he didn't expect the lap traffic there on the inside.
Getting confused by the lap cars. Ujjwal's going into the pits. Yeah, I was watching Colin, actually. Dimitri, he stayed on the right, which was nice because he let 2nd and 3rd by, and he did the same to 4th, but I guess Colin thought he wasn't on the apex, so when he finally saw him, he had to kind of just crank the wheel to get around him, and it's going to cost him time.
Yeah, I mean, such as the limitations of driving on a single monitor. You don't really get to see those little that minutia, right? You can't turn your head like you would, let's say, in a real car, right? So, sometimes it happens. Those are the certain things that you miss out on, and you don't really see it until it pops up in your field of view.
100% Mike Wagner leaving the pits now, and Ujjwal also leaving the pits. Didn't realize Mike Wagner. Somebody else has stopped. I'm going to try and find out who that is.
We got Philip just in the pits now. Looks like he's making his stop.
Indeed, Philip, here he comes.
The first pit box. That's what happens when you run the server.
Oh, man. First pit box is never a fun one. You got to go all the way down pit road. But you do get to floor it leaving the pit lane. So.
Which is always fun, and you usually don't even touch the pit speed limiter. You just hammer it.
Yeah, you just go.
Yeah, with that, Doug moving up into 9th place. Doug Newman running a handy race after having an incident at the start, which caused him to fall down the order very, very quickly. So, you know, good recovery race from him. Looking at the rest of the field, looks like Colin now running in third with Ujwal pitting. Still not quite past Jackson. Running close, but can't seem to get a move done.
Carlos Ferry also in the pits. Now leaving the pits with a pretty sizable burnout.
You gotta flex on the haters with your rip and tech
true.
burnout. It's the law.
Yep, Dimitri now coming in the pits. Funny enough, seems like now's kind of the pit window.
Absolutely. Look, Colin now, I guess with traffic in front of Jackson here, Colin has been able to close that gap quite a bit.
Wow.
Ooh.
Alter lifting to let him by.
Let him by. Let's see if they can. We'll see a repeat into turn 6 and 7 that we've seen with a couple of different cars here, Colin and Val. Ooh. Colin trying to squeeze on the inside. Can he make it stick? Oh,
Ooh,
very nice move.
Little bit of a touch, but nothing egregious, nothing too bad.
Now
racing.
Now we'll see who got the better exit. And it looks like Jackson got the better exit of the two. He's able to retake his position.
Better exit. Colin right behind them.
Yeah, now that's the risk you take, right? When you take that inside, when you try to go on the inside of turn 7 there, I mean, you have to stay inside, right? So you can't get that nice little run.
Using a whole other curb for turn-in.
Oh yeah, that's how you get through. That's how you get through that chicane nice and quickly.
Just absolutely throwing it in, with no regard to the landscape.
Whoa, touch the grass again. Oh,
there you go.
You got some Scots. We're gonna need some grass seed. This track's gonna be all messed up.
We should say other grass seeds are available. We are not sponsored by Scots.
Yeah, excuse me.
Scots, if you want to hit us up.
Yes, please. Absolutely.
We get a Scots.com turf grow sponsorship. Let's go. All right.
Colin finally getting past Jackson there for second place. Val's still yet to pit, so we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, well, he might maybe this lap he might make it a lap 50.
Let's see. We'll sit in with Val and see what he's doing. Just rounding out the chicane once again. Yeah, I guess going wide on that curbage. That's the move to try to square off that entry there into the chicane.
It's pretty much one of the only curbs you can use. Val coming down pit road.
Yep.
That's pretty much one of the only chicanes, one of the only curbs you can really use here. Is that one going into the chicane.
Absolutely. I mean, it's basically an extension of the asphalt. It's so flat, so
pretty much.
You know, it's there. You may as well use it. So. Let's see. Let's sit in with Val and just watch his pit stop. So it looks like Colin, as Val is just entering his pit box, we'll check in with Colin and see where he is.
He's Colin right now, just coming through the kink, going down into the chicane. Colin gonna be going down into the chicane. Let's see how well the strategy works out for Val.
So let's see.
Colin now just coming up the hill.
Coming up the hill. Val still stopped, but now is getting going again.
Colin's coming down the hill. His tires are going to be up to temperature, and he's got a head of steam. Is it going to work?
Just about to rejoin track.
Ooh. I think it worked for him. That's a big enough gap.
That is quite the gap. I mean, he does have cold tires this lap. So, I mean, if Colin manages to get a good lap, he may close that a little bit more, but... Hey, you know what? Val gained a good couple seconds there on that pit strategy, so that overcut once again seems to have worked out really well for him.
Yeah, I mean he'll close it a bit, but he's not going to work miracles with it.
Well, that's
try.
Sure.
Every little bit's going to help. I mean, at the end of the day, every little bit is what adds up to the whole that lets you get the position. But I think that might have been a pretty good call from Val. He did say he was working with the other drivers who are all working together, get fuel timing, how much fuel they'll need, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I think that was a pretty good call. That is an advantage to pitting last, is you kind of get to see what everybody else does, and then make your choice based off what they did, or make a choice that's completely different.
For sure, right? It's like you don't want to be the first one to do anything. You don't want to be the first one in the box, right? Because everyone else around you can kind of play with their strategy a little bit and be reactionary, as it were, and usually gives the upper hand, right?
100%. Saw a battle back here. I just didn't quite see the position. Gonna have to check. Oh, never mind. It was actually a lap car.
Yeah, it looks like the
Yeah.
closest grouping we got on track right now is actually Carlos Ferri and Eric Dallarava. Eric moving up from the back of the grid all the way up to 13th place, and looks like he may have a shot at 12th here. He seems to be running a handy race so far and seems to have the pace on Carlos as well, running slightly faster last lap.
24th to 13th is shades of Dimitri from Mosport last week, just carving through the field, really.
Absolutely.
He might not even, the gap's a bit big to say he could get a top 10, but he might get a top 12.
Certainly seems that way. He's closed that gap a little bit further now, almost half a second. Let's see how he takes that entry into turn 3, which has been pretty key in closing these gaps as we've seen over this race. Doesn't seem to make an impression.
Get that one extra point in the championship, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the way the point structure is in this championship, every single little bit helps. Every position helps because it's only a point between each. I mean, it keeps a close battle, but I mean, it's so tight. And I mean, there are bonus points as well for, you know, fastest mover, pole positions, and other things. So those bonus points actually make a huge difference in the weighting as well.
Especially where, I mean, the gaps between every point is going to be 1 point. But I believe it's 30 down through 29, 28, and, you know, down by 1.
Absolutely.
So those bonus points really are going to matter because it's basically the equivalent of another position. It's
Yep.
And especially with gaps near the end of the races that are as big as they are, it's really going to matter getting those bonus points. They're really going to add up near the end of the season.
Oh, for sure.
If we have an 8-round season, I mean, 8 bonus points by the end of a season is going to be pretty big, and that's assuming you win just one thing every race.
Absolutely. No, it's quite a bit.
I would assume. I mean, you could assume that the biggest mover would probably set the fastest lap, or the one on pole would also set the fastest lap, and that's where you see those bonuses really start adding up.
For sure. Eric now entering the pits.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Was running fairly close to Carlos. Carlos setting his personal best at 1:37.496.
I'm not gonna lie. I honestly didn't see him pit. I was really concerned because I thought he'd crashed.
Now Mike Wagner running 14th. He might be able to get past Eric here. Yeah, and he gets the job done. Mike Wagner running a pretty handy race in 13th place, actually, after having a bit of an unlucky run the first race, getting squeezed out fairly early on, and his car getting destroyed by another driver due to an incident on the Andretti Straight, which is always a good, fun place to have a crash. Having a much better race this week for him, so really, really good for him to have a nice little recovery.
Edgar also catching the back of Doug Newman. These guys have been battling for pretty much the entire race, and they showing no signs of yielding, even though we got about exactly 18 minutes left.
Absolutely. These two have been
fairly
tight. Doug obviously having a really good race this week as well. Really good recovery drive, but hey, that 10th position isn't his yet. He's got to work for it yet, and Edgar is hot on his heels. So, ooh, Val dips into the 135s, sets his fastest lap.
Doing a personal best as the track rubbers in.
A 135.982. That's the first 135 we've seen in this server.
New track record
for the Civic EG6 specifically.
Yeah, specifically for the Civic EG6. I guarantee you something has gone faster than a Civic EG6 around road. I'd be almost willing to put money on it.
GT3 car's not that fast. No way.
That's true. IMSA prototype? Literally never heard of it.
Absolutely. Hey, nothing's faster than a EG Civic hatch at 3 in the morning with a fart can exhaust. Everybody knows that.
I mean, I do believe the saying goes 3K Civic with simple mods. This is roughly a $3,000 Civic.
With simple mods.
Pretty simple mods. I mean,
yeah.
it's got racing seats. It's got like an Amazon roll bar and then some wheels. That's probably 3K worth of mods. Actually, probably more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those wheels are probably 3K alone.
Yeah, those probably, yeah. Gonna say. Unless they're reps, bro.
We don't do reps.
Oh, man. Edgar has lost a ton of time to Doug.
Seemed to have a little bit of a messy lap there. It's cost him quite a bit. Doug more comfortable now in that P10 position, so we'll see if he can hold on to it. Do we got any other close laps? Close battles. Ujwal actually closing on Jackson here for that
Oh,
fourth
it's
position.
getting there. Yeah, I mean he's getting there.
Getting
That's
very close.
is he
Colin has actually
gonna-
lost quite a bit of ground as well now. Val almost 9 seconds, 10 seconds ahead. So he's opened up quite a bit of a lead now. I wonder if Colin had an issue one corner around the track that cost him so much time.
Yeah, might have been. I mean, that's kind of just one of those. The issue is when on a racetrack, there's so many things that can cause you just to lose a little bit. Some of it's really outside of your control. It kind of adds up. It's really racing when you break it down is a matter of minimizing the factors of things that will lose you time, or maximizing the factors of things that will gain you time. Depends on if you're a half full or half empty type of person.
Absolutely, that is
I'm not trying to
for
get
sure.
philosophical. We got 15 minutes left in this race, but
Yeah, we could talk philosophy. It's it was a long race.
it is a race.
Gets you thinking.
The real important question we're glossing over is why the person who made this beautiful Civic mod chose beige as one of the colors.
Beige is beautiful.
Can you buy a beige Honda Civic?
I want to say yes. There's been many. I mean, maybe not
Why
now,
would you
but
buy a beige Honda Civic?
because you like beige.
I mean, I guess I don't have a retort to that.
It's
That's
chic.
kind of-
It matches
Is
it
it
matches
though?
your khakis. It's a great summer color.
Oh yeah, it's a great summer color.
Whoa,
Alright.
Doug with the fastest lap of the race on an absolute
Doug
flyer.
with a new
135.8.
new server fastest lap. A new track record as he goes sailing through the runoff.
And taking the special line through turn 3 and turn 4 there. Little
Maybe he's tired out.
little touch of the grass.
It's a long race.
It's all good. Ujwal once again. Ooh, getting a little squirrely there through turn 1. This catches Jackson. Seems to have a good, decent run, but once again a little bit squirrely there. I'm sure those back tires are starting to get really, really uncertain as you're driving along, and especially as these drivers get a little more tired.
Yeah, in hindsight, hearing that they're taking tires on every stop actually makes a lot more sense. As to we haven't been seeing a lot of guys losing the back end necessarily, unless it's unless they get helped. So that would make sense because if you're doing tires in this, you're taking all 4 tires.
For sure.
And because I mean, it forces you to take all 4 tires.
I
But
think
that would
the
also
difference is
explain.
going to be the brake bias that these drivers have chosen.
Yeah, 100%.
Seems to be, obviously as the race goes on, is that the guys that have a more rearward brake bias, they're going to get a little more lockup from the back, at the benefit of some rotation. But it's a dicey game.
I was gonna say, I was like, you can use even a little bit more of a rearward bias to rotate the car on the brakes if you're feeling brave. It is a pretty risky thing to do, but you can do it. You can make it work.
It's a strange balance with this car because, and even the fit as well, I found, because there is so much weight over the front wheels, you don't necessarily need that rearward bias to get it to rotate. Honestly, with, let's say, I think the stock bias on this car is 71% to the front. So with all that braking pressure towards the front wheels, with all that weight being pitched over, it's honestly enough just on the weight transfer alone to get the car to rotate. Yeah, you get a little extra by moving that bias rearwards, but like I was saying, you run that risk of lockup, right? So it's a tricky game. Looks like Leo's actually caught Dimitri again here. Let's see if he can play a little bit nicer this time around and get by cleanly.
Yeah, it was just one of those unfortunate moves last time. Sometimes you just make a little mistake, especially with the net code in these. Sometimes it's just one of those racing deals, so to speak.
For sure. And particularly in turn 7 there, it's very easy to get up into the back of somebody if you're not careful. Leo, whoa, very close behind. See if he can
in real hard.
try on the inside.
Might try the inside? No, it's not going to work.
It's very tricky there.
Yeah, it's going to kill a lot of time too. Oh, he's going to get a run though. Thought it would have affected his lap a lot more than it did.
Just making it stick into turn 1. Seems to keep
Oh,
it
pretty good
honest.
move.
Pretty good.
Yeah, gets
Pretty
it done.
good. Gets it done. Leo up into 21st. Still got some good on-track battles. It's keeping things interesting.
That extra championship point.
Absolutely.
Ujwal is now within a second of Jackson.
Let's ride in with him and see if he can make anything happen. I know he was very close on Jackson, you know, a couple minutes ago. See if he can make a move done, especially, you know, 10 minutes left in the race roughly. Now's the time to stake your claim for those precious points.
Yeah, and as we get this far towards the end of the race, you might start seeing moves where people start getting desperate because they think they're running out of time. 10 minutes is a lot of time around here. It's about 8 laps in these cars.
Absolutely.
Maybe a bit less.
Yeah, no, it's every single corner counts.
Yeah, and you got to remember the most important thing is that when you get, if you make a move with 8 laps left and you get there and you dive bomb it, even if you don't hit the guy, even if you actually manage to make it work, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Now you have to hold that position for 7 laps, which is like easier said than done. Chances are you've probably burned up your tires getting the move done anyways.
For sure, and that's the delicate balance. Looking at Ujwal here, seems to get a decent run out of turn 7. See if the draft helps him any. Jackson's still a little bit of ways up the road. I mean, 0.8 seconds. Still a good 5-6 car lengths away. I mean, it's tricky with these cars. It's not like a GT3 car where you have so much more downforce and so much more aero, where the draft has a massive effect on that back straight, where you know you can pull a huge gap from pretty far behind. Seems to be more dependent on that exit speed out of turn 7. It seems to be the major key.
I mean, like, funny enough, relating to the Honda fun fact from earlier, that's why it's the car's streamlined to use less fuel, but because of that, it's not going to punch as big of a hole in the air.
Absolutely.
So you're really not going to get the draft until you're there.
Absolutely.
You're now under 10 minutes left.
Yeah, and EG Civic fun fact, one of the most jelly beanie looking cars of the 90s.
I'd have to agree, honestly. I mean, have you seen the Buick LeSabre?
I was gonna say Buick LeSabre is one of them too. Definitely, was it
even if you want to
third gen Ford Taurus?
If you want to risk upsetting people, the 4th gen Camaro.
Jackson. Yeah. That's more catfish. Jackson goes wide. Jackson goes wide there. P5. Let's see Ujwal. Oh no, not gonna do it. But they are approaching lap traffic, and we'll see how this plays out now. Ujwal staying very close behind. Jackson seems to have caught the back of that lap traffic, which may help him a little bit on this back straight here. We'll see if one of them can get by. I'm sure if Jackson gets by, Ujwal's really going to want to get by as well before that chicane, because that'll cost him quite a bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. He's going to try. Oh, Walter with a late last-minute move. He gets out of the way.
Does the job.
Better than nothing.
Absolutely. And now Ujwal seems to get a little bit out of sorts there at the first corner, but good recovery there. Kind of matching Jackson in terms of their pace out of the last corner here. Full beans, a little hop of the curb. Let's watch them into turn 1.
Maybe a move into 1 might be a bit early, though. He might wait till the last lap. I know in my experience, usually if you just sit behind a driver, it pisses them off.
Oh, for sure. I wonder if
someone just being right on your bumper pisses you off.
Jackson is feeling the pressure now.
Speaking of which,
Ujwal's right on him.
Oh man, he is all over him. I don't even have a funny anecdote to say. He's just right there. Like he is not getting past him. Jackson might make that Civic a lot wider than it has been.
He is all over him like cheap neon on a EG Civic.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I'm glad you. Whoa!
Oh, he's good. He's good. He's good.
He's good.
We're
He
good.
keeps going.
We're good.
That's gonna cost them a little bit of that gap though. Now, as it looks like Ujwal kind of let off a little bit, let Jackson keep going. now he's going to have to fight his way back once again, or
Yeah,
banking
nice.
on Jackson making a mistake. I mean, you know, when you have a car breathing down your neck for that long over so many laps, you tend to start driving in your mirrors, and that's where the key mistakes are made.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice gesture for Ujwal to kind of lift a little bit after giving him a little bump and run, but see it as a bit of a punishment. He has lost a lot of time. He's no longer really quite there.
No, for sure. I mean, but yeah, cost them quite a bit of pace that lap. Ujwal now half a second off of Jackson there that lap, just having to give up that little bit of a run to get Jackson to get going again. See if he can make something happen with just about 5 minutes and 20 seconds left in this race.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Ujwal, he might be getting a bit greedy. He's starting to slide it in the S's.
Got out of sorts, hit the curb hard, hits that curb hard as well. Get a little aggressive.
You don't really want to be using those curbs in the S's. It's really easy to upset the car.
For sure, although out of turn 5, there seems to be a really good run and closes quite a bit of that gap once again on Jackson. Coming into turn 6, carrying a lot of speed. Let's see if they can keep it neat and tidy through turn 7 here. Ujwal getting on the power pretty early. Seems to have the run. I think that's going to do it. I think so. He gets right alongside.
Might be
Seems
our
to have the
move.
run. Ooh, it's side by side.
Jackson loses a bit on the shift.
And it looks like Ujwal's up into 4th. Let's see if Jackson, I think he's going to want to filter behind for that. Ooh, staying alongside. Ooh, this is going to, ooh, they're side by side.
Side by side with the S through the chicane.
Give the room. Ujwal's going to lose out there. Ooh, Ujwal's going to lose out big.
Jackson left him exactly one car length of room.
Absolutely, just
there
enough.
There was a civic-sized gap there.
Oh, man. Good.
Oh, we got 4 minutes left in this race.
Beautiful defensive driving from Jackson there to hold his position. Most other drivers would have just filtered behind, but he was stubborn and it paid off.
Oh man, Ujwal not giving up though. He's still there.
No,
Jackson's gonna know he's there too.
Absolutely, Ujwal does not give up easy, and I'm sure he's gonna give him a run for his money. Coming down through the S's once again, glued to his bumper, absolutely just glued. Ujwal seems to be getting the better exit out of T5, although Jackson is actually maintaining it this time. We'll see what happens here. Once again, T6, keeping it fairly close. T7, see what happens here. Ujwal, I'm going to assume, try to get a good exit.
The draft will help him.
But I think Ujwal actually lost out there. That going a little wide there.
Oh, he really did.
Costed him that opportunity there.
It's getting intense. That really did cost him. They are coming up on slower cars though.
Once again, traffic might be the element that changes us all. Ujwal cutting that a little aggressively. I saw him get a touch of oversteer coming in there, a rear end possibly locking up a little bit, but he seems to have managed it pretty well, maintaining that 0.6 gap to Jackson.
He might be trying to use that curb to rotate the car. He's going to be 2 wheels in the dirt. Less than 2.5 minutes left.
Really pushing, and you can definitely see it. Absolutely just on the limit. Seems to have a good run through the corner, but not as good of an exit. But Jackson's going to have a tough time now because he's just hit traffic. So it looks like Ujwal's going to claw that gap right back down to 0.4.
Your leader, Val, is currently going into the chicane. Based on when he crosses the line, this might be 2 to go, or this might be the last lap.
Ujwal right on Jackson's bumper now, on the outside.
Whoa!
Let's see if he makes it stick. Oh, going to turn 6. You do not want to be on the outside. Oh,
just leave him room.
Just enough. Let's see into turn 7 here.
Oh,
a little bit of a bump.
They're going to keep going.
And Ujwal seems to get the run there.
They're going to have 2 laps left at the line.
Oh man, no,
there's nothing in it.
There is nothing in it right now. They are absolutely door to door.
There is nothing in it. The absolute competition between these cars is going to be incredible.
Here we go once again through the chicane. Jackson protecting that inside line. Looks like Ujwal not running outside this time. Trying to, you know, get a better exit out of here and not cost in that position like it did last time. I think he's learning.
And the credit we got to give, Jackson's putting on an incredibly defensive drive, but it's a fair defensive drive.
Fair enough. Absolutely. He's choosing his lines wisely. He's defending his corners, and you know, Ujwal's having to work for it.
Civic's about one track wide. This might be their final lap.
Ooh, Jackson gets way out of sorts.
He's in the grass. Oh, can Jackson get back and say something?
Oh man.
No, Jackson's gonna lose it on the last lap.
That costs him huge.
Oh no.
Oh man. See,
it's not over yet.
He just got on the inside of turn 3 there, trying to defend that position, but just carried way too much speed and just hammered the curb and just on the grass, and that's it. And Val crossing the finish line just as the clock hits 0. A dominant win.
Dominant win. It was well fought. They made a really good strategy. It was a really good drive.
Absolutely. And Colin B, very close behind as well. Really excellent drive from him.
I don't know if 4th is going to be decided yet.
Absolutely not. We're going to watch Michael.
It's a decent gap, but I don't know yet.
Zoom past. Michael zooming past in 4th place. Now let's take a look at Ujwal and Jackson, this battle for 3rd that we've been watching. Jackson goes way off.
He missed it. What did he do? Jackson misses the corner. He's gonna give it back to Ujwal to be nice.
Well, he has no choice. I'm sure the penalty waivers would have been flying.
I do not think they would have liked it if Jackson came in 4th. But after a great battle for almost the whole race,
Ujwal coming out 4th place. Very strong, and honestly, very well defended from Jackson up until the last lap. I mean, that's where he made his key errors, and that cost in that position. But still, a very strong drive for him to end up in 5th.
That pressure. I mean, the pressure got to him. Jackson 5th, Thomas in 6th, Nathan 7th. Joseph Yang's going to be 8th. Philip Oliveira is going to be 9th. Coming
just
on
watching,
the line now.
Yeah, just watching Phil come down the last corner here and down across the line in 9th place. A handy little drive from him this week as well. It looks like the last person to cross the line is going to be Randy Zimmer, coming home in 20th. Not too bad of a race from him. Obviously had a little bit of his scuffles, but not too bad to end up at 20th. And it looks like that's everybody. So let's take a final look.
Everybody who's been classified as we all joined the traditional turn 1 dog pile.
As it were.
Race. As it would be. Val and Colin banging doors on pit in rather.
Val doing some sweet little doing reverse donuts. That's some good stuff.
He might be trying his reverse donuts. Val's gonna burn it down.
Our race winner.
I mean, well deserved. It was a good race. He had a good strategy. Put on a really consistent drive. The biggest closest thing to a mistake we saw from Val the whole day may have been like putting 2 wheels in the dirt. That was pretty much it.
Absolutely, but he managed to hang on. Ooh, nice little, look at him doing some little Gymkhana moves.
Yeah, he's doing his skids. A well fought win for Val and a good race for pretty much everybody. I think everybody would be pretty proud of their finishing order as they had in this race. It was that was a fun race, honestly. As I opened it with, not the biggest Road Atlanta fan, but I enjoyed this race. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
What now? What do we want to do? I mean,
well, let's take a look at our final grid order and our finishers.
A quick check as the session fades to black. Do you want to do a couple interviews?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hop in the driver's
Okay,
channel.
let's
Just make sure that we're all ready to go.
hang on let's check. Let me go grab a Val, and then we can hop in driver's channel later.
So all in all, a really, really good, exciting race. Very, very interesting. A lot of fun to watch. Really close battles right to the end, and it looks like we have Val in the studio here.
Yeah,
Val, great, great race for you. That pit strategy on that overcut really, really worked out for you to open up quite the gap to Colin behind.
I think Colin actually took too much fuel when he was like, I have an app that calculates for me like how much I got to put in, and it updates throughout the race, depending on how the car's burning fuel.
Right.
And he just did some rough math in his head at the beginning of the session, and then ended up with I think 5 to 10 minutes extra worth of fuel, which is like a few seconds on track.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
that'll
was gonna
cost
say.
you quite a bit, especially because you have to wait for that fuel up time as well to get that extra fuel in.
It's the thing that dictates how long your stop is.
Yep.
Well, exactly right. Yeah, it was a pretty good race. You seem to be negotiating the traffic pretty well. How was traffic for you in this race?
It was mostly good. I would say I got held up maybe twice, which honestly they were in awkward situations where the guy in front really didn't have much to do, like up at the top of the hill, in the S's. Everywhere else was easy passing.
Yeah. Well, but congrats on the win. Do you have anything else you want to say, or should we bring in? Let's try and bring in Philip.
I want to say congrats to Doug for sneaking in that fastest lap right near the end. I had nothing for it.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
flyer on his side. We saw that pop up and
Yeah.
could hardly believe it, honestly. It was
That was quick.
really, really quick lap.
I thought I had it nailed when I was like the first person in the 35s, and then 2 laps later, in comes Doug.
Yeah, he went even fast. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it caught me by surprise too. I kind of thought you had it. All right, well let's see if we can get let's get Jackson in the booth here. Hear what he has to say about the battle. Well, Val, thanks for joining us here, and look forward to next round.
Well, thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, give me a second. Let me get Jackson.
Just waiting on Jackson to come into booth. Let's have a little run from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we'll be talking to Jackson. And we're back, and we're sitting here with Jackson Oliveira. Really strong race from him, finishing up in 5th place. Had a really close battle with Ujwal, just coming down to the wire right at the end. So Jackson, excellent, excellent race, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I got caught up when defending against Ujwal right at the end and made a mistake, but it was really, really fun battling with him.
Yeah, it was great to watch. You guys seem to be really closely matched. Do you think you had a good strategy for the race? I mean, you came in with 5th. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to practice this combo as much as I wanted to. I ended up fueling a full tank, and unfortunately, you're always left with basically what is left in the tank, and then whatever you can top up. So I probably did a little bit of overfilling, but ultimately, it worked out okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Yeah, no. I saw you guys were battling there a little bit, and on the last lap, yeah, just really unfortunate to see that mistake. It was at least it made for a really good finish.
Yeah, and I'm sure it would have happened earlier. Quite honestly, Ujwal got held up in traffic and won at the towards the end of the race there, and I was a bit thankful for that. But yeah, dealing with traffic is its own set of problems, but it worked out in my favor this time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, credit to yourself. Some great defensive moves as well. I mean, and we didn't see anybody else during the entire course of the race actually try to defend that inside line going into the chicane, and you managed to do it and give Ujwal just enough space to fit a Civic, but nothing else. So you had a great run on the exit of the chicane, and you end up getting a good little bit of gap back from him. So really, really great defensive driving on your part, honestly, to hold off that position for so long. It was really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, I was lucky. I'm surprised that I was able to hold him off in braking, and I was sure that he was going to get a run on the exit. But somehow I think I may have done it twice. It ended up working, so I'm okay with it. It's every moment like that is an opportunity to improve your skill, so it's really good.
For sure. Absolutely. And that's the thing that, obviously, driving this pack of drivers, obviously with a lot of skill, it allows us to do that, right? Because, you get to go wheel to wheel week after week, and it's a lot of fun too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a pleasure racing with OTA. Unfortunately, I'm down in the States, but was told by a OTA competitor in real life that I knew through the internet, and he basically told me to come join, and it's been great running with you guys.
Absolutely, and we're really happy to have you on board because, I mean, obviously it's been really fun to watch you race, so we're looking forward to more.
Definitely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackson.
Thanks, Jackson. All right, I think that's pretty much all we have for this week. It's about. Unfortunately, I would have liked to interview Ujwal, but I don't think he's here right now. It would have been neat to hear the other part of that battle.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure we'll have to catch up with him next week, ask him about that. But I'm sure for him it was a lot of fun too. Pretty heated, right to the end.
Yeah, 100%. Do you guys want to talk briefly about what we're doing next week, and then might be everything.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's look at our schedule again. So next week, the cars keep getting faster week over week. Our first rear-wheel drive car, which is gonna be really exciting, Supra GT4, brand new GT4 actually, at Fuji Speedway. That's gonna be a really fun one. I've driven the GT4 Supra previously in the sim. It's a ton of fun. So I'm sure the drivers are going to have a great time. It's also pretty drifty, so you might see a little bit of oversteer action, and not the lift-off to oversteer kind, the power kind, the nice kind. So it should be really, really good fun, and Fuji's always a interesting and challenging track, so should be really good there.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to it. Unlike Road Atlanta, just to kind of coattail the end of it, I'm very much a big fan of Fuji, and so I personally am looking forward to this round a lot.
For sure. Josh does not like Road Atlanta, as he said many times during the stream, but let's
does
just say
not
it one more
like
time.
Road
Josh
Atlanta.
does not like Road Atlanta. Me,
It's a really
it's
cool
pretty
track.
good. But Fuji, I'm all about Fuji. Fuji's going to be a good time.
And a lot of the drivers seem to like Fuji, so and a lot of the drivers seem to be interested in driving the GT4. So I think it's going to be real fun.
Absolutely. Well, I thank everybody for tuning in once again. We've had a lot of fun streaming with you guys, and hopefully you guys had a great time watching. And for all of ourselves here, myself, Jordan Bazugli, Josh Cronin as well, for his excellent color commentating. We thank you for watching, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.